everyone, this is Rachel with Songbird Crafts Inc., formerly Stamping Songbird. Today I'm going to make a card using this beautiful stencil from Mindy Eakins Classic Rhodes Collections 2. And the stencil is called Highway Horizons stencil, and then this beautiful car is called Hot Rod Flames, and then we have this classic sedan. I will be using the classic sedan. You can see here that I have completed one in a lighter blue, and I do have the hot rod as well, but that one I'm not finished with. So I'm just going to focus on this stencil, and I have just a piece of white cardstock here, which I will trim down later to an A2 size. This stencil set comes with 5 different stencils, and I'm just going to place this over to the left side. I'm not going to worry about that right side because I will be trimming it off at the end. So to create this road, I am going to use 2 colors. I'm going to use Black Soot and Hickory Smoke. I start with the lighter one, and then I'll use the darker one around the edges. And at the time of this video, New York, where I am from, we are having a serious and dangerous heat wave. And you will definitely hear my air conditioner going on, but this heat is really, really bad. I believe that Europe has gone through a serious heat wave as well. Let me know if you're having a heat wave where you are and where you're watching from. All right, so we're moving on to the second stencil, and this stencil has the sun and the desert floor or sand. So I start with fossilized amber for the sun, and then I move on to gathered twigs for the sand. I didn't want to do it too light. The only other light color that I had was more of a peach color, so I didn't want to go that route. Okay, great. So now we're going to move on to stencil number 3. All right, so this one is going to create the mountains in the background without the details. That would be the next stencil. So I start with this red. Gosh, I can't remember which red this is. It could be fired brick. Then I go in with the aged mahogany, which is sort of a burgundy, to add the details to the mountains. The mountains could be any color that you want. They could be green, they could be white. I saw some people making mountains in purple and pink, and they looked really, really nice. I'm just going to stick to what the sample has, as close as possible, that is. Okay, next I'm going to move on to ground espresso to create the mounds that are on the sides of the road, and they're in the background. Okay, I just want to make sure that that's nice and rich. Best part is always peeling off that stencil. And the next stencil has the last 2 components, which are the cacti and the sky. So the cacti, I believe I used Rustic Wilderness, maybe? I believe it's Rustic Wilderness. Sorry, this voiceover, once I do the voiceover, it's very hard to see the small print on the screen. I used the Rustic Wilderness to create the cacti, and then you notice this is the only time that I clean off the stencil. Reason being is that now I'm using the lightest of all my colors, and I didn't want to get any of that green onto the salvage patina, which I used for the sky. All right, that looks fantastic. So now I'm just going to trim so we can get rid of all that unused space and stained space on the sides. And I'm just going to trim down a little bit from the left and the right, and then from the top and the bottom, so that I end up with a 5 1/4 by 4 inch rectangle. Great. Now I'm just grabbing a bunch of card bases to see which background I would use, and they all look really nice. That orangey color looks fantastic. The red does too, but I go with the mustard yellow. And I believe these card bases or cardstock is from Spellbinders as well. I do have a mix of different cardstocks. I have stuff from Stampin' Up, Hero Arts, My Favorite Things, Spellbinders. So I think that to date, my favorite paper is definitely from Spellbinders. All right, so now I am adding my classic sedan, and I added some 3M mounting tape on the back, and then I added a little bit of glue, which I always do just to reinforce it a little bit more. And I just placed that right there in the center. And the card is basically done. All you need is a little sentiment, maybe on that top left side, and then maybe some accents on the sun. So I actually do decide to do that. I grab glossy accents, and then I add that to the sun. It'll make it shine and puff out a little bit. And you should definitely use a little pick to pop out any bubbles that you see to make sure that it's smooth. And I even thought, hey, maybe some acetate would have been nice behind those little windows. But other than that, I think it looks fantastic. We just need a sentiment and it's ready to go. So this is part of Mindy Eakins' Classic Rhodes collection number 2. And I will put a link to my first video with the other cards, with the other cars in this collection. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment. Let me know what you want to see next. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye-bye.